Welcome back everyone. In the previous video we saw how to create a new application for visionOS or VisionPro. I'll be using visionOS everywhere in the videos as well because that's the framework that we will be using for developing for VisionPro. We created a first project for VisionPro, and then it's the default code that comes with the new project. What we are gonna do today is to learn how we add a volumetric window to the visionOS code and what are volumetric windows. So let's first look at the code how we add a volumetric window. So it will be a window group. We'll be using ID and content. So we'll call it volumetric window. And content let's call it a globe view. We haven't created it, so let's create a new SwiftUI view. Let's call it a globe view, and we add it. So our globe view is created, right? Let's move it here. So in our app, so now we have the globe. I call it global view. So let's refactor rename globe view. So we got our globe view now. What we want is we want to render just the globe that's in the scene that we have in a volumetric window. So what is a volumetric window? Volumetric window is something which has a volume. So it has a height, width, length, and then you define those as an initial sizing. So you give it a size, like how long and how high or how much width this volume is going to have. It's like a cube which you defined with the constraints of the length, height, and width. So first what we're going to do is we're going to say window style. We want to say volumetric, and we want to say window default size, and we want to say size, height and width, and depth. So we'll say 1.0, 1.0, 1.0, and we want to say this is in. So you can define the units, like what are the units of your volume, but we're gonna stick to meters. So this is 1 cubic meter volume. So now let's go to our content view. Now that we have our window defined, we want to open this window from the main window. So when you launch the SwiftUI app, the design as per the human guideline is you want to have a first launch kind of window. You don't want to take users directly to an immersive view or something. So as we know, this is our landing window, or let's say launch window. So we want to open another window from this window. So to do that, we will do an environment, which is .open window. So these are the new environment actions that we can use. So let's say open window. I usually tend to name my variable same as the environment action. So this will be window, right? So we got open window. And rather than opening a scene here, what I want to do is I want to close this. I don't want to do this. So I want to add a button here with a title saying open globe, and action is open window. And with the open window, I want to give it an ID, which I have defined there. So let's go to app and see, okay, what was the ID? I'm just gonna copy it and then paste it here. So now you can see that now our window is just open globe, right? So we added the volumetric window, gave it a size. Let's go to the globe view now. So we got our globe view. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the RealityView, use the make, and then in here we get the content, and here I want to load my scene entity now. So let's say let scene entity is equal to I want to do entity dot, say if init, and then we have a name is scene, and bundle is our reality kit bundle. So you load this scene from this bundle. Okay, so we need to import our reality kit content, because this variable is defined in our reality kit content. So this is an async, so we do await, and if we are awaiting, let's do and catch, and I want to say logger dot log error if there is an error dot local description, and I want to add try here because it can throw. So we have added the scene entity. Now let's add the entity to our reality kit content dot add, and I want to add scene entity. So we have loaded the scene, we have added to our content. Oh, one thing I want to tell you guys, this logger, this is my habit. I did it, I think, before starting the video, but I always create this public global variable called logger, which I can use everywhere in my app to log content around. And this is part of the OS log. If you don't know about OS log, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to cover it in a separate video. So okay, so if there is an error, I'll log it. And now let's go to our content view and see. Okay, so we are opening this window, right? Let's get rid of this text for now. So let's run the app and see if it works or not. So we got our app, so open the globe. Okay, so this is where it has opened, but it hasn't loaded our scene, right? So there is a window, but there is nothing. So how do we now debug it? So in globe view, we are loading entity named scene. Oh, it's a capital S. So let's run it again and open globe. So you can see that our globe is now loaded here, right? So this was case sensitive, so I was using small s, but it was a capital S here. So we can see that our entity is now loaded. Now this volumetric window, there are a few things I want to show you in the simulator that you probably want to know if you are going to work with the volumetric. One thing that comes handy while debugging volumetric windows issues is you can come here and then you can enable collision shapes, the bounds. The bounds is where it shows okay where your window is and what are the difference. So in especially in the volumetric windows, so you can see that this is our 1 meter by 1 meter cube, and this is just our entity at the top. I wanna go and change the size of this window. Let's go 0.5 meter by 0.5. So change it and 0.5, and we run it again, and we say open globe. So our globe is, you can see that our handle is now much near, and then if I enable the bounds again, you see this is now a bit smaller, so our globe is there at the top. With the volumetric window, whenever you open a scene, you can't set where the volumetric window is going to open. So whenever I close this and I open it, it's always going to open in front of the user. So let's say if I am here and I am trying to open the volumetric window, so if you are wearing a visionOS, it's going to open from where you are. So that's your starting point, and then it will take the distance. So you don't want to open a big volumetric window, then it will be you won't know where you are in the space. So that's the volumetric window in the globe, right? And then it's sticking up at the top. Let's say if we can change the size, the position of this entity here. So let's say scene entity dot position is equal to sim d3, and then I want to give it an x, y, and 0 position, right? And I want to give it a float and x. So float x, y, and z. So x, let's say give it 0, 0, 0. Let's see if it makes any difference. It's stick it to the bottom or not. Let's run it again. Open globe. It's still there at the top, right? So if I open, it's still at the top. Let's say if I move it y. So if you want to see where your axes are in volumetric window, you can come here and enable your axes. And then if I move around, not this one, maybe just the axis. So you can see this is your axis here at like all the window axes, right? So it's in visionOS, it's y at the top. So you have y and then x, and then your z is there. So let's hide these back, and let's say set y to minus 0.5 and run it again. Open globe. So our globe is nowhere. So that means it is out of the bounds of your volumetric window. So let's go 0.1. Open globe. So you can see it's little bit down, but not where I want it to be. So let's go 0.2. You can see it's now a little bit more down and near to my handler, right? So you can position your model or your entity in the volumetric window, but it will be positioned inside the volumetric window. So what I mean is when you change this position x, y, z, 0 or -2 or wherever, it is going to change it within the bounds of this volume, not in the space. So your scene entity is changing the position within the bounds of this volumetric window. So this is how you can create a volumetric window and render a scene within a volumetric window. So volumetric window is usually useful where you have small entities you want to render around and you want to do some actions. So we'll talk about how you can rotate and how you can scale these entities within a volumetric window, or rotation, especially the rotation, like maybe you want to use a gesture and then you want to rotate the model entity inside the volumetric window. So subscribe and hit that bell icon to know about the next video of the channel about the visionOS, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.